At the beginning of this story, we see the world's most dangerous assassin team going through intense training. In reality, they are about to be sent on a terrifying mission. They need to recover $10 billion from a high-profile target. But will it be that easy? Not at all. Because the target is a high-profile businessman, and he has thousands of incredibly dangerous soldiers at his disposal. So this mission is definitely not going to be a walk in the park for them. Because of this, after such deadly training, the team starts putting together their master plan. Actually, guys, this entire operation is handled by a very sharp and cunning woman named Sophia. She takes contracts from big-time clients and then, with the help of her assassin team, executes those missions. But guys, you all must be getting confused about what this $10 billion deal is all about. So let's start the story from the beginning. It all started about 2 years ago when some big businessmen were finalizing a major deal. Everything was going perfectly. But then, one of the traitors showed his true colors. He took out both businessmen on the spot and fled with all the confidential documents and authorization papers related to the $10 billion. But guys, this money didn't belong to those businessmen. In fact, this entire amount belonged to the owner of a very large company. When she receives the news that her billions have vanished, she wants her money back at any cost. That's why she approaches Sophia and offers her a deadly contract. She explains that if you kill that businessman and bring back all my money, I will give you 20% of the total amount. But Sophia counters and negotiates a final deal at 30%. After this, Sophia holds a meeting directly with the leaders of her assassin team and assigns them the task of digging up every piece of information on that businessman so that they have all the necessary intel on the target before the mission begins. After a lot of digging, they finally find their target. Actually, this businessman wasn't just some ordinary guy. He had dozens of oil rigs and energy projects spread across several countries in the world. Now you can imagine how huge this guy's network is. That's why they decide to try the easy way first. Their plan was to somehow get those billions out of George's pocket. For this, several members of the assassin team are sent to his various oil rigs as workers so they can sabotage the system from the inside. Their goal was to severely impact the rig operations, which would cause George heavy losses. Besides that, George was also building a 1,300 square foot empire in Saudi Arabia. Even there, the team's hacker messes with the system, making the authorities believe that a huge amount of black money has been invested in this project. As a result, the construction work gets halted. In this way, Sophia slowly starts sinking George's major companies, properties, and assets so that she can take advantage of the situation and extract an amount even larger than the $10 billion. I mean, you can understand, guys, the kind of terrifying game being played here. Just keep watching. You guys are going to be completely blown away. After pulling off all these stunts, Sophia goes straight to George's CA. The lady says, "I can get you guys out of this huge mess and even find out who is behind all of this. But for that, you guys will have to transfer $300 billion into my account." Upon hearing the name of $300 billion, George completely loses his mind. That's why he initially refuses and tries to kick her out. But when he hears these things, when the CA tells George about this, he asks him to call the woman to meet him. With that, George contacts Sophia again and calls her to his mansion. But this time, Sophia raises her demand to $400 billion. The condition was that if her demand wasn't met, she wouldn't meet George. George was already sweating bullets. Anyway, he eventually gives in and invites her to his place. The very next day, Sophia arrives at his luxurious estate. She gets straight to the point about the money and says, "If you pay me $400 billion, I can get all your sinking companies, properties, and assets back on their feet. And more importantly, I can find out who is behind all of this." But George replies bluntly that she would only get $100 million and nothing more. Because George knew very well that no matter how big of a shot someone thinks they are, they can't turn around a sinking ship that easily. He adds, "First, show me you can do one job for me. If I'm convinced you can actually pull this off, I'll pay you way more than $400 billion. Hearing this, Sophia's mind was blown. Because, guys, she thought that after losing his entire empire, George would be terrified and would hire her for a big payout. But here, this idiot was asking her to prove herself by doing a job. So Sophia says, "I don't have the time to prove myself to you first and then get paid. If you don't trust me, then go to hell. Get your work done by someone else." After getting insulted like that, George walks away without saying a word. And then what? Their days of planning to squeeze money out of George's pocket failed right there. As soon as they leave George's property, a few cars start following them. The security chief sitting in the car realized that they were being followed. So he immediately orders his team members to grab their weapons and head to a cafe. Upon reaching the cafe, the security chief goes inside with Sophia, while the driver stays outside to keep an eye on every movement happening around them. Along with that, the rest of their team members had already arrived there. A few moments later, 2 hitmen enter the cafe and sit at the table in front of them. On the other side, 2 more hitmen had entered from the back, while 2 people were stationed outside for backup. Inside, the security chief keeps feeding the locations of the enemies to his team members outside, so they can storm in and take them out. But shortly after, the security outside sees that many more thugs are heading toward the cafe. That's why the assassin team immediately starts assembling their guns. Inside, the whole situation takes a turn. Suddenly, the 2 hitmen sitting in front were about to pull out their guns and kill them, but the security chief takes them both out right on the spot. With that, the rest of the team members start taking out the enemies one by one. A car full of guys had also arrived outside, but the assassin team members waiting there unload on them and send them straight to hell. But who knows where all these hitmen keep popping up from? Finally, after clearing everyone out, the security chief takes Sophia and escapes through the back door. When the news reaches George that all the hitmen he sent were wiped out, he completely loses his mind. Sophia, on the other hand, understood that it was George who had sent those thugs to kill her. So now, she decides to completely destroy and finish him off. After that, she puts her 2 top security experts on the mission to take him out, and along with that, she orders her hacker team to leak all his confidential files to the public so he can watch his own destruction with his own eyes before he dies. Simultaneously, her team makes all of George's confidential files public for the whole world to see. And then, guys, George's game was completely over. The court orders a freeze on his trillions of dollars worth of companies and energy projects. I mean, you can understand, guys, the man was completely ruined. You'll find out in a bit what kind of major action he takes after this. Meanwhile, after getting the orders, Sophia's security chief reaches an island with his team. They knew that George had a massive army of thousands, so taking him out wasn't going to be easy at all. That's why every necessary piece of gear was already waiting for them on this island. There were tons of terrifying machine guns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, and every type of combat equipment needed for war. It was clear, guys. These people weren't just planning an operation against George. They were preparing for full-blown war. Actually, guys, George is also currently on this island because all his assets and energy projects have been shut down. So he's hiding out on this island after fleeing the city. And as you already know, this team is about to take on thousands of people. So weapons alone weren't enough. To win, they needed a perfect plan and the right strategy. Because of this, they start preparing their strategy, keeping every possible situation in mind. Since they were going to fight this battle on this very ground, they start setting everything from landmines to massive traps for their enemies. Back to the scene, we see Sophia in a desolate desert, where she is waiting for her client for a new deal. A few moments later, a black SUV is seen approaching them. At first, Sophia thinks it's probably her client. But then, her secretary says that the client was supposed to arrive by helicopter, not by car. Hearing this, Sophia immediately starts looking for her security guards. That's when she sees that someone has killed them and dumped their bodies right there. Seeing this, Sophia realized that those in the car must be enemies. But before Sophia could escape, some tough-looking killers appear in front of her, the same ones who killed her secretary and guards. Actually, guys, these men were sent by George to pick up Sophia. As planned, they kidnap Sophia and bring her straight to a police station on that same island where George is located. In reality, this wasn't a police station, but a security room on George's private island, which you could mistake for one. Anyway, as soon as they arrive, George tells Sophia, "You destroyed everything I have, but no worries, you wanted $400 billion, right? Take it. But from now on, you will work under me, because a sharp-minded girl like you can not only rebuild my properties and companies, but make them even bigger. So what do you say?" Sophia replies, "Old man, I already told you that I can do anything. But you were the one who asked for a demo, so I showed you, by bringing you to the streets. But now, I can't do anything because you're already broke, and you'll be reaching the afterlife very soon." The old man retorts, "We'll see who gets to the afterlife first. And don't think anyone is coming here to save you. This is my private island, and only my rules apply here, so shake my hand or otherwise, you'll be the first one to go." Meanwhile, after days of planning and training, the assassin team was finally ready for war. The team also knew that Sophia was now in his custody, so they disguised themselves as police officers, took a patrol car, and headed toward the station. As soon as they arrived at the station, both heroes walked in cool and collected. Once inside, they immediately grabbed 2 weapons, leveled their guns at the guards present, and demanded to know which cell Sophia was being held in. Outside, their other team members were constantly feeding them intel on every movement happening around the perimeter so they could act instantly if needed. After searching for a while, they finally found Sophia. They immediately pulled her out of the cell and took all the guards in the room hostage. Just then, more guards arrived, and both heroes pointed their guns at them as well. The guards were about to open fire, but the two assassins took them down on the spot before they could even react. And that was their biggest mistake. Because hearing the sound of gunfire, even more guards started rushing in from the outside. Meanwhile, outside, another team member began breaking through the wall to create an escape route. Inside, it had become a 2-versus-squad battle. They started taking down the guards one by one, firing wildly. But simply taking them down wasn't enough. They had to get their boss out of there safely. So they immediately burst out through the hole in the wall, jumped into their getaway car, and started speeding away. But all the guards were now on their tails. The news reached the old man that his would-be wife was running away with someone else. Hearing this, he completely lost his mind. He immediately ordered all his troops to chase them down. I mean, as if there weren't already enough people chasing them, the guy sends in even more reinforcements. You can understand, guys, the kind of massive, intense battle that was about to break out. Along with that, the thugs kept chasing them while firing bullets continuously. But as they drove a little further, the enemy's car hit a trap and exploded, stopping right there. Actually, guys, these were the traps preset by the assassin team. Meanwhile, the team also reached their designated location, and immediately reaches their pre-decided location, readying their weapons to wait for the enemies. But just then, the enemy launches a missile from a drone right at their position. In one swift strike, their entire weapons depot is blown to bits. Still, they have no choice but to fight, as the enemies have already reached the spot. A fierce battle breaks out between the assassins and the militants. After taking out a few militants, they jump into their car and speed off again because their main stash of weapons is gone. So they decide to activate Plan B. But can you ever expect militants not to follow them? They stick to them like dogs. The bike riders split into different directions, letting the enemies move forward. After a short while, they circle back from behind and open heavy, indiscriminate fire on the enemies. In this rush, they take out the first vehicle. Meanwhile, one team member slips out of the car, hides in the woods, and sets another trap, waiting for the enemy vehicles to arrive. As soon as the enemies reach the spot, he triggers the trap, opening a hidden pit. The vehicle rolls right into it and crashes. The remaining terrorists arrive at the scene, but that single team member starts playing solo versus squad. From behind, the rest of the team finishes off the remaining militants. They even clear out the few rats hiding inside the pit. After that, the guys head straight to their main villa. They know that thousands more enemies are coming, so they start prepping their defenses. Shortly after, they see two vehicles speeding toward them. They immediately trigger another trap, causing one of the vehicles to flip over right there. As for the surviving militants, the sniper starts picking them off one by one. Suddenly, the drone operator spots two more enemy vehicles approaching from the other side. The guys trigger another trap there, stopping both vehicles in their tracks. But the enemies jump out and start rushing toward the villa at full speed. The team is ready and waiting to take them down. As soon as the enemies appear, the four of them start sending them all to hell. A few moments later, two more militant vehicles show up, unloading a barrage of bullets into the villa. But the sniper is just chilling, landing headshots on them one after another. On the other side, the four of them keep firing back, but the enemies just keep coming. There's no end to them. The sniper is the one really playing the game. He's sitting comfortably inside the house, just taking them out one by one. But guys, within a short time, the enemies get extremely close, forcing the four of them to spread out and change positions to fight. After a few hours of fighting, they realize they have to get out of there, because the enemies just aren't stopping. So two of the team members head through a tunnel to retrieve their vehicles. Meanwhile, the others rig the whole area with TNT, so that as soon as the enemies storm the villa after they leave, they can be sent to hell in one blast. One team member, still manning the sniper, says, "You guys get going, I'm right behind you." But the captain tells him not to stay back at all, as the enemies have already reached way too close. But then, the team member tells the captain to get out of there. With that, the captain takes Sophia and starts heading out. But the situation outside is so bad that if they stay even a second longer, the whole team is going to be wiped out. Still, they manage to reach the tunnel with Sophia. Now look at this guy. Thousands of enemies are outside, and he's inside all by himself. Let's see how he handles these thousands. Soon the enemies storm the villa. The captain keeps telling him to get out of there, but he stays put, taking them all down one by one. But how much can one man do alone? The enemies just keep pouring into the villa. And guys, his strategy was exactly that, to lure all these dogs into or near the villa so he could trigger the TNT and take out as many of them as possible. A moment later he triggers the TNT, causing a massive, terrifying explosion. Meanwhile, the rest of the team members grab their vehicles and start fleeing. Shortly after, they jump out of the car, take a zip line and make it to the other side of the mountain. But by then, the enemies have already reached that side too. One security guard is still left on the near side. He quickly takes out a few terrorists and jumps onto the zipline. Once he reaches the other side, they see that thousands of terrorists have arrived. So they fire at the zipline cable, snapping it so the enemies can't cross over. From there, they drive toward their boat. But just then, a helicopter appears and starts spraying gunfire from a machine gun. When that doesn't work, the guy even starts firing rockets. But this time, they drive the car straight into a house, which completely throws off the helicopter's aim. That's when the captain pulls out his ace in the hole and, without wasting a single second, launches it straight at the helicopter. The chopper is destroyed in mid-air and comes crashing down, burning into flames. After that, they somehow reach the boat. The captain says, "You guys get the lady to safety. 2 of us still have one more job to finish." With that, 2 team members take Sophia and head off, while the other 2 heroes set out to finish off their main target, George. They sneak into his house disguised as workers, and, at the first opportunity, inject him with a sedative. Once the injection kicks in, they put him on a stretcher, calmly carry him out of the mansion, load him into an ambulance, and take off. Now what are these 2 going to do with him? I don't even know myself. Let's see. They take him out of the ambulance and put him into their own rugged vehicle, wrapped entirely in plastic. I mean guys, this scene was so funny, he looked no different than a mummy. After that, they load him onto a ship heading for Sri Lanka, sending George off while he's still knocked out in a drug shipment. When the scene shifts, we see George in a shipping container, smoking the cargo, because the whole container was filled with drugs. And remember that injection the captain gave him? That was also a dose of drugs. Now the old man has been caught red-handed by the Sri Lankan police. And with that guys, the story comes to an end.